Welcome to Money 911, where we believe true wealth is not just about money. It's about living with health, freedom, purpose, and peace of mind. Today's episode is for anyone who's ever laid awake at night wondering how are they going to pay the bills. Anyone carrying silent stress, financial pressure, or the feeling that no matter how hard they work, they just can't get ahead. The truth is, millions of good people are trapped in systems they were never taught to understand. But hope begins the moment knowledge replaces fear. Our guest today, William R. Mitchell, has spent decades helping individuals and families break free from overwhelming debt and reclaim control of their financial future. As a nationally recognized attorney, author, and trusted advocate, Bill brings both wisdom and compassion to a conversation that affects nearly every household in America. His upcoming book, Say Goodbye to Credit Card Debt: How to Outsmart the Banks and Avoid Their Traps, reveals the hidden patterns that keep consumers financially exhausted, and more importantly, how people can rebuild with clarity, confidence, and hope. This is not just a conversation about money. It's a conversation about freedom, about dignity, about peace of mind, and about creating a future that serves your life instead of stealing from it. Please help me welcome Bill Mitchell. All right. It is wonderful to have you. And I'm just really excited that you're here to talk about something that everybody's dealing with.
Well, almost everybody, but everybody's, we've got something like 220 million Americans who have credit cards, and about 82 of that million, 82 million, about a third have some kind of credit card issue.
A third. Thank you. That's a good information. So, Bill, what does financial freedom actually feel like emotionally when someone has been living under this debt pressure for years?
Well, it's an enormous relief, as you dealt with people who've had debt burdens or financial challenges, it's almost paralyzing, and
Yeah.
you feel bad. And one of the things we want to make sure people understand when we're done today is that if you have credit card debt and you are overwhelmed, one, other people help to get you in that situation, not just yourself.
Right.
That there are options that work that will get you out of debt. And then once you're out of debt, to your point, it is an enormous relief, because then instead of giving all that money to the banks and paying high interest and a lot of interest, you could actually take that money and put it in your pocket or put it in a savings account and allow you to kind of build some wealth.
Right. Why do you think so many intelligent, hardworking people still get trapped in debt?
Well, there's a couple reasons. First of all, there's a lack of financial literacy in this country. You're more likely in high school to have a sex ed class than you will have a class that teaches you how to balance your checkbook.
Right. Exactly.
Uh, you can graduate from Harvard University without ever taking any class in personal finance. So there's a lack of financial literacy. Also, we've had a real shift in our culture, what I call a consumer spending shift.
Mm.
They've made it easy to use your credit card and at the same time convince you can spend more than you have. And part of that shift is reflected in our savings rate. 30 years ago, the savings rate in this country was about 11.5%.
Right.
Now it's 3.5%. So that shows you the mentality, right? It's a lot. The mentality has shifted in terms of we don't save, we spend. And they've made it easy for spend. You go anywhere, you just take that little card out and you tap. You don't have to do
I
anything. All you
know
have to do is
it's
just wave it
too
in front of
easy.
a machine. And
Right.
you've spent money.
Right.
And then, of course, they have the minimum monthly payment. The minimum monthly payment is designed by the banks to trap you in a cycle of credit card debt.
Yep.
So it's kind of stair stepping. It's a culture without financial literacy. Encourage spending, make it easy to spend, and then once you spend, they trap you.
You got it. You got it. That's the illusion that banks and credit card companies sell to consumers, right? And they're profiting because they're getting all the interest. But the hidden psychology behind the minimum payments, I mean, you hit that right on the nut button there, right? But there is a psychology around that. It's sort of you just sort of putting it off. That's what I found. Everybody's putting
No.
everything off till later, like even planning for retirement or whatever, or saving money and putting it
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. I want to talk about that a minute, but I want to highlight that
Yeah.
they're outselling you this. If you look at television at all, they take the biggest, most credible celebrities, Samuel L. Jackson or Charles Barkley or Jennifer Gardner or whoever else, telling you how easy and fun it is to use the credit card, right? They make it look
Right.
like it's a
It's just
joyride.
right, right.
But then to your point about the minimum monthly payment, they create a system that behaviorally, psychologically, you think, oh, if I make this payment, I'm okay.
Right. Yeah.
I'm okay with the bank. That's so if I do at least that, I'm okay. But as you know, if you look at your credit card statement, there's a box that tells you how long it will take you to pay off your credit card balance if you just make the minimum monthly payment. And for every listener out there, I,
Ugh.
I, I ask them, if not beg them, when they're done with this podcast, to pull out their credit card statement, find that back box on their credit card, how long it will take them to pay their balance off if they just make the minimum monthly payment. That's usually 6 to 8 years.
Mm. That's
So to your
insane.
point,
Right.
they want you to pay less on that principal balance. Why? Because if your balance grows, they make more interest. That's how banks make money. You know that. I know it. That's how they make money, interest. So the minimum monthly payment is designed for the banks to maximize interest.
Exactly. We've created a culture where people are taught to consume instead of create lasting wealth. We seem to have a little echo here. Do you hear that? Let me
Not on my end.
okay, let me just state that again and
Hold on. Let me grab a sip of caffeine here.
okay. Uh, okay, so what I was saying was the financial stress affects people's health, their confidence, and we the cultures we're taught to consume instead of create lasting wealth. So what does true financial freedom actually look like and feel like to you?
It's managing that credit card debt and making sure you're paying yourself first. You've listened to a lot of more financial literacy experts than I have, people who wealth builders. Number one rule: pay yourself. So financial freedom is having enough money to pay yourself, and two, to manage your credit card debt. Oddly, the credit score is designed to reward people who use the credit card but use it only 20 to 30% of their credit utilization. So someone who doesn't use a credit card is punished in their credit score by not using the credit card. So if
Mm,
you only use it at 20% of your credit limit, that's the sweet spot in terms of your credit score. Obviously, paying on time is the ultimate test.
right.
Uh, but they like you to use the credit card Because remember, the people who design this are the banks and the creditors. So they designed a score to make sure you're playing the game and playing it the right way.
Right. What do when people are going along, what kind of warning signs tell people they're heading towards financial dangers before it comes to crisis? Because everybody's just so caught up with getting up, getting the kids ready, going to work, right? And there's no time. They're not really, I never knew there was a box on my credit card. Now I've been blessed. My daddy taught me how to save. So I pay it as I pay it every month. So I've never really
Right,
thought about, stretching it out. I always hated
right,
paying interest, right? I'm losing money.
right.
So never knew there was that little box. But people need to, like, you're getting sick, right? Your body's sick. You get warning signs. What kind of financial warning signs and danger that people should like wake
Well,
up to?
if you are struggling to pay the minimum monthly payment or only making the minimum monthly payment, that should be the red flashing lights. The other would be if you're using more than 50% on your credit limit. In other words, if you have a credit card that has a credit limit of 10,000 and you're at 5, that's a red flashing light. Uh, and what's happened in this consume, not conserve society that we live in, people, at least around a third, really don't have more savings than credit card balance.
Right.
Then, no, it's, yeah. Then what happens is some life event occurs, something that causes an extraordinary expense, a car repair, a house repair, medical expenses, a death
Medical.
in the family,
Mm,
or you lose some income. You were relying on overtime, or you change jobs, you're not making as much money. So that big life event comes, and all of a sudden you're financing that with the credit card.
ugh, mm,
And that is how you're crossing the double yellow line and
right.
getting yourself in trouble as soon as you do that. But that's common. That's what's happening a lot, and that's another place where people tip over. They're dancing on the edge, and then they all of a sudden they put that big $2,000-3,000 expense on the card,
Right.
and they can't. Now they're trapped. They can't ever make enough or save enough to bring that back down.
Exactly. What would you say that, what habits do financially peaceful people practice every day? Would you?
Well, just managing that credit card, making sure you're at that 20-25%. And then also, as you know, if you're paying yourself, you have some money saved, you have some cash. So when that big life event occurs, the unexpected expense, the loss of income, you're not financing it with a credit card that charges you 21%. You can reach in a bank account or a savings account or a drawer and get cash to pay for that.
Right, right. A lot of people listening today are going to, a lot of people are feeling a little hopeless financially, and they don't really know how to wrap around it. I've heard, and this is not my expertise, that's why I'm talking to you, consolidation. What's your opinion on how do they get out of the debt? They don't have enough money to pay it off.
Yeah. If you're struggling on the minimum monthly payment, only making the minimum monthly payment, or you're had the big life event that's kind of tipped the boat over, there's really only four options. And let me just walk through them and explain them. If you have equity in your home, your credit score is still somewhat pretty good, like a 670, you can get a loan consolidation. The advantage of a loan consolidation is you take all that credit card debt that you're paying anywhere from 22 to 26%, put it in one loan where you're paying 11, 12, 13, 14%. So now you're saving money because you're paying less interest. So, but again, not everybody can qualify for the loan consolidation. And if you've waited too long, or you've been in the hole too long, you're not going to get that loan consolidation. So the next option to look at would be credit counseling. Credit counseling, think of it as restructuring your debt. It doesn't reduce the principal balance of your debt. What it does is it basically restructures it. You enter into a payment plan based on what you can afford. They can reduce any penalties and interest. They can reduce what the interest you're paying, and you pay that off over, say, 3 to 5 years. But again, that works only if you have the income and the ability to pay back 100 cents on the dollar on your debt. Now, what if you're in the next level where you just say, I owe $26,000. I'm never going to be able to pay that back. I need principal reduction. That's where debt settlement works. Debt settlement is where you essentially default on your credit cards and then have either you or a third party negotiate a principal reduction. Say you owe Chase $6,000 and you negotiate a payment of $35,000 or $4,000 on that card. The good news in debt settlement is, again, go back to the Chase card. You owe $6,000, you negotiate a settlement at $3,500. When you're paying that $3,500 over, say, 12 or 24 months, you're only paying against the principal. And when you've paid it off, you've paid off that Chase card. So that every dollar you're going towards that settlement is a dollar towards principal, not paying any interest. And when you're done, you've paid out that card. Now, if you're in deep trouble, you don't have a lot of equity in a home, you've gone sideways financially for whatever reason, then the last resort is Chapter 7. And so I would always start, if you think you're in pretty good shape, look at the loan consolidation. If you think you're in bad shape, start with Chapter 7 and then work your way up or down depending where you started.
Wow, interesting. So you got four different verticals there. So um,
Yeah. And Kris, just to add one thing,
sure.
they all work.
Okay.
And the job of a consumer is to find out which one works best for you. I have a website called Legal Edge Debt Solutions. On that website, I have information about each of these four solutions. I have an assessment. It's a set of questions. And when you answer the questions, it tells you which option is best for you based on your financial situation and your goals. So that helps take out a little of the guesswork. But again, it's all designed for the consumer to know there are four options. What are the options? This helps you figure out which of those four options works best for you.
That's great. That's how everybody should check that out. Give them the name again.
Well, it's www.legaledgebdebtsolutions.com.
Wonderful. I mean, that's very helpful. You don't have to guess about it. If, if we could shift from a survival mode into a life of vision and purpose, right? How that literally could help people move into a whole nother path. So if you could
Right.
right? Go ahead.
No, it is. And we, I know you shared a little bit of your background to me, but my background is a lawyer, and I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of consumers who are struggling with debt. And I've heard those stories and the stress that they're under and how they got into it. And those stories are common. Often it's very similar situations that gets people into debt. And again, they're struggling to figure out what solution works best. And while getting out of debt is not a fun process,
Right.
once you're out of debt, it's like walking out of prison on a sunny day.
Mm. Right. So a lot of it is the mindset, right? To what it has a huge role when you say in escaping the debt and creating long-term care, long-term freedom from all of these bills. right? Because you got to have
Right,
you got to have the attitude to do it.
right. You have to, right, exactly, exactly. And it takes a little bit of work. It takes work and honesty to say, hey, I'm in trouble. I need help.
Right.
And then it takes some effort and optimism to say, hey, I need to get out of this.
So if you could rewrite the financial education system in America, what would you teach first?
Well, I would start with just, understanding uh, a simple income statement. An income statement, as you know, shows income and expenses and then what's left over. And you need to start thinking in that way. I've got so much income, I've got this many expenses, and then there's got to be a little left over. And whether it's a family, one person, a Fortune 1000 company, the mindset is the same. What's the income? What are my expenses? And then what's left over. And then the next part is just like a financial statement is it's a system that tracks that. So you know what your income is, what your expenses are. So it's not guesswork.
Right.
So many people will look at their bank account and see that they have money and that's the only thing they're tracking.
Right.
So
Right. It seems so
I have a positive
simple.
balance. Yeah. Or
Right.
I have money left. I have money left on my credit line, and so I have money.
Right.
Yeah, it's not that simple.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. And it seems so simple, right? It's
Right,
been clouded. And we talked before we pushed the record button that you've
right.
really personally, asked you some questions. You've literally dedicated yourself to helping people escape this financial trap, right?
Right. You again, you've met people. You had your legacy wealth practice.
Mm-hmm.
You've had people. You've met them face to face. Talked to people over the phone. Almost all of my clients that I talk to are over the phone, and you hear their story and in my what I've done in the debt relief. I can easily talk to somebody in Minnesota or Tennessee or North Carolina or Ohio, and lots and lots of this country's full of lots of nice people who
Right.
can easily get sideways
Right.
because of the spending culture and how the banks try to trap you with minimum monthly payment, and then something happens in their life and they're in trouble. And I just kept hearing that conversation. And the problem is when you're in that situation, a lot of companies target you. And let me just explain this briefly. Your credit information is for sale.
Mm.
The credit reporting agencies sell your credit information. So if you're in trouble, it shows up on your credit report. And
Right.
marketing companies go to the credit reporting agencies and say, I want the people who are in trouble. I want you to send me a list of everybody in these zip codes who missed their last credit card payment. I want everybody in this zip code who has a utilization rate of over 60%.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have that information. And what do they do
Right.
with that information? They send you a loan offer. They call you on the phone. They text you.
Right.
They're selling you something. So right when you're getting struggling with debt, you have a bunch of salesmen calling you, selling you their solution. You have no
Yeah.
idea whether that solution is the right solution for you or whether this company's even credible or not.
Exactly.
That's the other thing I heard only about 726 times is people were sold the wrong solution or they got into a program, a debt relief program or a loan program that they didn't fully understand.
Right. Do you make recommendations of, in
On legal edge debt solutions, you take the assessment. It says credit counseling. I refer you to a particular credit counseling company that I know that works, and
okay,
they have national reputation, and they do. Been in business 30 years, so yes,
okay.
anyone I recommend off that is somebody who's been vetted.
So if someone listening today is feeling hopeless financially, What's the first step they should take this week?
Well, I mean, just for the information, again, Legal Edge Debt Solutions, it'll give them information about what the options. Again, if you have a financial problem, you need information to figure out what are my options. And there are four, as I said, all of those options work. Find the one that works for you. That's the key. There are other sources. There's other books. There's 5 or 6 books on Amazon that talk about getting out of debt. Um, I'm sure there's other websites, but the key is to get the information you need to figure out which of those 4 debt options works best for you, and then take action.
Yeah,
Push
right.
the button.
Take action. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And
And by
it's
the way,
sure.
just to finish this point, as you're well aware of, when you're struggling, you want to start feeling better,
Yeah.
take action towards the solution. Right then, you start to feel, I'm more in control. I've
Yeah.
now got a plan. I'm working towards a plan. You start to feel better.
Exactly. Exactly. And so what do you think, and this is just obvious, but if the parents aren't doing it, then the children are never going to be taught. You can't rely on the educational system. You almost have to have, a special program inside your family to teach people, teach the kids and everybody how to save. And that's what's missing for sure is that wellness,
For
financial
sure.
wellness, right?
For
Um,
sure.
you've really dedicated your life to helping people through this. It's not like you were even looking for clients, which I thought was interesting because most people are trying to sell something. What inspired you to dedicate your life to help people escape the debt trap?
Well, Chris, it hasn't been my whole life. It's only been the last few years, but it was,
Yeah, okay.
again, talking to consumers who are struggling with debt. And
Okay.
you hear it in their voice. You hear their stories. There was a elderly couple in Missouri, and I just never forget this one because, again, elderly couple, their daughter had a drug issue. So the 2 grandkids move in with them, and they put their daughter's rehab cost on their credit card.
Mm.
Now they're sideways in debt. They didn't, you know what I'm saying? And you hear
Oh,
those stories,
I
and
do. I
I could
do.
give you 5 more that are
No,
every
I
bit
hear.
as bad.
I hear you. Yeah,
And
yeah,
you hear those stories and you realize there's just good people who need help. And then you
exactly.
also hear that the salesman gets them on the phone,
Yeah, right,
says, hey, you think you're going to get a loan offer. Next thing you know, you're signing up for a debt settlement program, and they really don't tell you everything about it.
right,
It might be the right solution, but there's always things that the salesman doesn't tell you. So information is a great way to avoid being trapped even further when you're in debt. Again, when you're in
right,
debt, the last thing you need to do is a solution that doesn't work for you. You want to find something that works,
right.
starts getting you out of debt.
Exactly. So, in your eyes, what's true financial empowerment look like beyond just having money?
Well, but you know what? That's that's what a decision everybody gets to make, whether it's travel, what kind of travel. I know people that their ideal vacation is camping in the mountains. I was in
Me too.
Idaho a few weeks ago, and
Oh,
I
nice.
love the mountains and it's beautiful. And other people want to sit by a pool in a nice resort and
Right,
have somebody bring you cocktails. So
right,
the
right,
point is, you want to get in the position that whether it's poolside or campfire side, that you're able to have the ability to achieve that.
that's wonderful. Yeah, I totally agree. So, if you want to leave everybody with one cherry on the top of anything else that maybe we missed or let you like to share.
No, I just again, if number one, realize the system is designed to trap you into debt. when you realize you're trapped, get the information you need to get out. Remember, Legal Edge Debt Solutions is a way to help get that information. There's other sources, but that's a one-stop shop that gets you both the information you need and connect you with the solution, and then to take action. And then the whole time you're thinking about it, you can sit in your head and decide, do I want to be campside or do you want to be poolside?
Right.
So,
There you go. I'll be camping with you for sure.
okay.
I like the mountains and the wildlife for sure.
Yep.
Bill, it's been refreshing that people can have some hope, and then thank you for setting this site up. You know, I'll be telling lots of people about it, at least a third of who I talk
Perfect.
to, or a third of
Perfect.
who's listening, and pass on the good information. So, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I really appreciate the time and appreciate you having me on. Thank you, Kris.
All right. What a powerful and timely conversation with William R. Mitchell. Today's episode reminds us that debt is not just a financial issue, it is emotional, relational, and deeply personal. But no matter how overwhelmed some people may feel today, there's always a path forward when wisdom, courage, and hope come together. Bill, thank you for sharing your heart, your expertise, and your commitment to helping people move from financial fear into financial freedom. Debt is not your destiny. And to all our listeners, remember this: your past does not define your future. Your setbacks do not define your worth. And one wise decision today can begin changing the course of your life tomorrow. If this episode inspired you, please share it with someone who may need encouragement, clarity, or hope around their financial journey right now. And be sure to subscribe to Money 911 for more transformational conversations designed to help you create more health, wealth, and peace of mind. Until next time, live inspired, live empowered, and remember, financial freedom is not just about surviving life. It's about creating the life you truly love. I've created the Safe Money Blueprint. This is the same strategy that thousands of my clients have used to feel secure about their financial future. And you can get it free at healthymoneyhappylife.com/blueprint. There's so much to learn about healthy money. I hope today's discussion brings you one step closer to securing and protecting your future. So you can get started on the right foot, go to meetwithkrismiller.com and schedule your free financial fitness strategy session. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to Money 911 so you don't miss our next episode, which includes health, wealth, and peace of mind.